Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
This podcast is for you. So if you have a retirement question you'd like us to address, reach out to us online anytime at matsonfinancial.com. This has certainly been a really interesting year so far with this economy. And we've entered another period where layoffs are more common these days, and so are early retirement offers and buyouts. So there is a chance that you could be on the receiving end of one of those life-changing moves. But what should you do financially in these cases? That's actually the subject of this week's list from Go Banking Rates. And I thought we'd go over it here, Laurel and Taylor, since so many people are walking through these decisions right now. The first thing they mention on this list, hey, you get that offer or get that notice from your employer that, hey, this job change is coming. They say, first, start a full inventory of, where your assets are, what do you have? That step alone, I think, though, seems a little bit overwhelming, isn't it?
It's a little daunting.
Yeah.
Especially when you're worried about your job on the line, right? Mm-hmm. But I would say, unfortunately, that is the best first step, is get everything together, but don't go at it on your own, right? We've given offers throughout the radio show. Give us a call. We will help you with this. We've done it for numerous people. In fact, I've had clients come through the door saying, I'm not sure that this is going to happen, but sometime in the next 18 to 24 months, I might get tapped on the shoulder and I'm out of there. So I want to know, what are my options before that happens? Now, fortunately for them, things went on fine and they're still working. But unfortunately for others, that tap on the shoulder comes as a blind side, and now it's oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And starting with this inventory is huge. And what I think next on the list really leads into that is, what's your short-term income strategy look like?
Yeah. Well, and one thing too, though, with that inventory, I want to make a mention. So yes, if you're doing this on your own and you're worried, yes, you should absolutely do that. But the other alternative is to give us a call. We have a checklist of everything that we would suggest you bringing in with you. So it's just a guide for you to follow, whatever you can find. Sometimes something might not apply to you, and honestly, 2 months down the road after you're a client, you'll be like, oh, I found this statement, So we get it. That's just cleaning up your life. But we're here to help you do all of that. So you just give us the statements or tell us, here's where things are at. And actually, we are going to put the inventory together for you, so it's way less daunting. So hopefully that helps you say, like, okay, that hurdle isn't so bad that I have to put all of this together. Then I can see my net worth. Nope. Yeah. Bring it in a shoebox. We've had that happen before. Mm-hmm. Amazing. That's totally fine with us. So let us help you get started.
All right. And then, Taylor, you mentioned then you can then you can get to work on that short-term income strategy, because, again, then when you know where your assets are, you can start filling in the gaps, right?
Yeah, where are we pulling it from as a part of that layoff or let go? What's going to happen with your health insurance? We've got that in-house as well. That's a big one, right? Is obviously, where's my income going to come from? But what about my insurance, right? I have a COBRA option. Do I want to pay for that for 18 months, or based on my income, can I get a better price elsewhere? And so obviously we would sit down with Matt and the health solutions side of the business to design that income plan, not only for the short term, but for obviously the rest of retirement, and then also layer in that health insurance piece to make sure we're all covered there.
I mean, I am shocked, honestly. We added health solutions here a couple years ago as an added, service to our clients. We do not charge you for this. This is something that's all encompassing in the Matson Financial, network that we have here, because we have Matt in-house. But so many times clients would come to us and they would start with this income plan, but nobody ever talked to them about what the cost of health insurance would be, whether that's Marketplace or their Medicare premiums. And then we had other clients who came to us like, I have somebody I signed up with 5 years ago, but I've never heard from them. I'm like, oh my gosh, well, what you're paying now could be right, but it could be the totally wrong plan because your health has changed. Yeah. And so the lack of communication and information with health solutions is real. And so if you're one of those individuals too, maybe you're not ready to talk about retirement or income and planning yet, but you definitely have a Marketplace or a Medicare need, you can absolutely give us a call and mention you want to talk with Matt and get started there first, if that's where you'd like to go.
Yeah, because again, carrying health insurance after a job change, so important. And again, making that transition, if you're close to Medicare age, that's another biggie there too. You might be able to make that transition too. One thing Go Banking Rates mentions in this article too, though, I think is important here. They say, don't rush though. If you're in your 60s, don't go rush to claim your Social Security benefits though. just because you lost your job. That might not be the best decision, and you might be able to find other income sources to kind of fill that gap. So you don't want to make a mistake there either just because of this event, right?
Absolutely. And you can stop it, but you can only stop it once, and it's got to be within a certain time period. So it's not
Tricky.
advised. It's very tricky. Yeah, I wouldn't rush and say, I got my letter today, I'm filing for Social Security tomorrow, right? You need to come up with that plan. In some cases, it may make sense for you to not file for that Social Security. And if you're beyond full retirement age, you may be eligible for some retroactive benefits where we bought ourselves some time for this, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And now we decide, we need to turn on Social Security. Well, I want to backdate it 6 months to when I turned my full retirement age. And then you get, that lump sum check, and then those checks continue to roll in. But what I will say, too, with that is processing times are slow, very slow.
Okay.
So if you're banking on, I'm going to file today, I'll have it next month. It's not going to happen, right?
Okay.
So there is some planning that goes into that. But I would totally agree, you don't want to rush into claiming Social Security right away because, like I said, it's permanent.
You need to go through the numbers and see what makes the most sense.
Yep.
All right. Well, along with this big life change, Go Banking Rates also suggests that, while you're at it here, revisit your estate plan when you go through a job change like this. Why is that so important?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, even when it comes to wills and trusts and power of attorneys there too, but those individuals change, and likely you haven't thought about it. We've had people come in to where, a 401k beneficiary was the ex-spouse.
Ooh.
Right? I mean, we've even seen it to where somebody came to us because they lost their husband and found out that the life insurance that should be paid to her and her small children, 3 of them, had the ex-wife as the beneficiary.
Oh, wow.
And that was devastating for her. Thankfully, that ex-spouse actually signed off on that life insurance policy. It's giving me goosebumps right now because this is totally not a normal thing.
I can't imagine that happens often.
Wow.
No.
But you need to revisit those things in your power of attorney, your healthcare directives. I mean, really every 5 years, you should be doing that anyways with an attorney and a professional to make sure, hey, stuff changes all the time. Are my documents set up how they should be? So Taylor and I have started our trust 10 years ago because somebody told us if you have kids, cash, or a clue to get started. We probably were a little early at that time, but we knew.
We had one of those
right?
things.
But we knew we needed to start somewhere and also to get educated on our own life to make sure we're educating our clients. And so we went through 3 or 4 actual reviews of this now, and it's changed almost every time.
Wow.
Because as we've grown and what we want our plan to do and with our family growing, it just changes. So make sure you're looking at all of those pieces. And if you don't have somebody, we have preferred providers in our network. We can get you in touch with one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the estate plan piece too, maybe during that transition, you're rolling over a bunch of accounts, you're consolidating accounts. Well, we want to make sure that back to her point, the beneficiaries are correct. Are there beneficiaries on file, right?
Yeah.
You've already got everything out in the open anyways. It's really a great time and easy time to put it all together in that same box or that same USB drive, and you take it to the estate planning attorney, you go through that just to make sure that you got all your ducks in a row. Most people think of estate planning with trusts and wills and leaving a big legacy and passing assets on. I would argue that one of the more important ones is the power of attorneys.
Yes.
If you don't have that in effect, what if you do become alive and not well, or you and your spouse together, now what, right? You put your family in a really difficult position. So,
And the financial advisors, because
Yeah.
if those things aren't on file, we can't legally talk to whomever of your family coming, and that's hard.
we're
But
literally,
that's the
our hands are
legality.
tied. Yeah, and that's a very bad position to be in. So the estate plan is a big one.
All right. Don't skip this step. Very important there. And then finally on this list here, if you get one of those layoff notices and early buyout offer, Go Banking Rates suggests that you acknowledge the emotional weight of this. I mean, leaving a job or having this decision made for you, that's pretty heavy, isn't it?
It is, and it is grief. There are so many different types of grief, and I don't think we sit in the yuck enough, and that's hard to do. But that's why it's important to make sure you are working with somebody you trust and you have your ducks in a row, because when you go through something chaotic like that, the last thing you should be doing is making immediate decisions, right? Because you don't know where your mindset is right now or where you want to go, and it's very unexpected and it's hurtful. And so to have somebody like a trusted fiduciary advisor like our team here at Matson Financial, we're going to coach you through some of those things, like what is okay to kind of, start talking about and working through. And what are some things, just like when you lose a loved one, that maybe we should wait on and explore more on? So have a trusted fiduciary advisor on your team to help you with that emotional weight.
Yeah, I mean, I've had loads of very emotional conversations in meetings where I walk in, thinking it's just a review or it's just a first appointment. And, an hour and a half later, we really haven't talked about anything financially related. It's just the situation, the reality of what's going on, the grief and all of those things. And I'm happy to do that. And also, it's not a bad thing to go seek somebody. Maybe you want to, have another conversation, actually speak to, a therapist or something. There's too much of a stigma behind that, right? You really should. It's a good thing for a lot of people just to vent. Sometimes just to have somebody, disinterested third party, just to listen.
Somebody else's eyes and ears other than your own to get out of your head a little bit. I absolutely agree. So we totally believe in mental health here, and we do some of that ourselves. So encourage you, if you're going through something like that, don't forget to ask for help.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Matson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Matson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Matson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.